Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the Cultural Confederacy. It is Sunday night. That was me doing the retro hail on my corncob pipe. So here I am again with my corncob pipe and my Great Value Donut Shop coffee. This time around I'm smoking some Borkum Riff whiskey pipe tobacco. Now there's a heated debate in the pipe smoking community about this particular blend because it's not as sweet or as mild as, let's say, the Smoker's Pride whiskey. They use real whiskey in this blend. So it might be a little off-putting to some people, but once you dry it out, crush it down a little bit, take your time with it, it's not that bad of a smoke. Somewhere middle of the road. So for a nice change of pace, I thought I'd do some Borkum Riff whiskey pipe tobacco tonight. And I found a really good, cheap, I'm talking cheap, coffee, whole bean, that you can find at Walmart. The Sam's Choice 7 a.m. Saturdays coffee. 100% Arabica. I paid $5 for a bag, 12-ounce bag of beans. You can't shake that with a stick. So let's get to the topic of the day. And this is from bringmethenews.com. Sometimes I like to go with these alternative news sites just to spice things up a bit. And this is a story by Adam Irwin, last name U-R-E-N. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Says group of protesters call for justice for Amir Locke, leave graffiti on Lake Street. So this is a story that is slowly gaining steam, and now there's protest in Chicago, possibly elsewhere. So what happened was, give you the short of it here, is that on February 2nd, Amir Locke was sleeping in an apartment. There was a no-knock warrant. The cops went into the apartment. He reached for his gun. They thought that he was trying to shoot at the police officers. They shot him and killed him. So now there's these protests. And it says a group of around 100 protesters marched through parts of South Minneapolis Friday night in response to the killing of Amir Locke by Minneapolis Police Department. The group met at around 8 p.m. and made their way along Lake Street in the Lynn Lake and Uptown areas, and also approached the Minneapolis 5th Police Precinct at 31st and Nicollet. A handful of commercial properties were tagged with anti-MPD slogans and messages warning of further action akin to the 2020, here we go folks, civil unrest that followed the MPD murder of George Floyd. Of course, it all goes back to George Floyd. Never mind the fact that these are two separate cases. And I was watching this clip from MSNBC. The first thing out of this guy's mouth, this commentator's mouth, was that African Americans in this country who are exercising their Second Amendment right can't get a fair shake. Say that to somebody who's an African American living in Texas, and we all know how pro-gun those who live in Texas are. There were also tags honoring Locke and Winston Smith, who was killed by police in Uptown last summer, as well as repeated use of the anarchist A, a common symbol of anti-government protest. In a moment here, I'm going to go through what a no-knock warrant is, because there's some controversy of this. Should we have no-knock warrants? But you contrast these protests that are happening in Minneapolis, or happened Friday night, happening now in Chicago, to what's happening with the Canadian truck drivers. These Canadian truck drivers aren't looting, rioting, burning down a city, or spray painting on a wall somewhere. They're just fighting for their right to freedom of choice and the freedom to make a living. Now, you can have this debate of whether or not they should be blocking the Ambassador Bridge, this link between Windsor, Ontario, and Detroit, Michigan. But they're not looting, rioting, burning down a city, and they're not harassing police. Now, there were some protests in Paris, but the French, they love to protest. They love to riot. That's what they do. Hey, they did it at the premiere of The Rite of Spring. But the contrast between these Canadian truck drivers and these protesters in Minneapolis Friday night, and now in Chicago, it's like night and day. So somebody tweeted, indeed, rest in peace and power, Amir. As seen on brick wall near alley graffiti in hashtag Uptown, hashtag NPLS, short for Minneapolis, after Night Street action on 2/11/22, hashtag Amir Locke. Show a picture here with RIP Amir on a brick wall, spray painted on a brick wall. Soon, ... we can have freedom dreams? No, we must have freedom dreams, lest we never become free. Soon indeed, profound statement as seen on stone wall. They've got a picture here of somebody spray painting soon, ... and the anarchist symbol, the A. Last night's protest on Lake Street in Uptown, hashtag MPLS, signs of RIP, hashtag Amir Locke. Protesters chanted our streets while blocking traffic at Bladesdell and Lake Street about 10 p.m. Details on at Fox 9 Minneapolis. And they have a video clip here. You can check that out at Twitter. As the protest made its way along Lake Street, it was reported that a number of retailers had been advised to close for the evening. Somebody alerted on Twitter, police are calling Uptown Cub to recommend that they shut their doors. This was at 9:03 p.m. Friday night. Video from outside MPD's 5th Precinct building moments ago in Uptown after a group of 70 to 100 reportedly spray painted and threw rocks at the building. The group continued marching north, and officers from other precincts are in the area to assist. Why aren't you officers in Minneapolis cracking down on these protests? If they want to peacefully protest, fine. But the minute these people start throwing rocks at you, spray painting buildings, breaking into stores, looting, rioting, you knock a couple heads together and you drag their asses to jail. That's what you do. And until you do that, they're not going to learn their lesson. Images of the graffiti are appearing on social media and being amplified by far-right commentators who are drawing a contrast, as I mentioned a moment ago, with the truck protest in Canada, where people opposed to COVID-19 vaccine mandates are blockading roads and borders, disrupting trade in the process. Now, this is where the mystery comes in, and I have my questions about this. Locke was killed by an MPD SWAT team conducting a search warrant on an apartment at the Bolero Flats in downtown Minneapolis on February 2nd, as part of a St. Paul Police Department homicide investigation. Subsequent information has revealed that Locke was not named on the warrant. The suspect wanted in the homicide was not expected to be in the apartment. So why the no-knock warrant? And that MPD conducted a no-knock warrant, not announcing themselves prior to entering the apartment. My question is, what was Amir Locke doing there? Was he couch surfing? Was he homeless? The person who owns this apartment, were they the person that the police were after? Or maybe that person they're after stayed at that apartment for a short time? I mean, it's sad that Amir Locke got caught in the middle of this. But you don't associate with people who are of a shady character. You just don't. Now, the tragedy in all of this is that Amir Locke didn't have a criminal record, and he was trying to help his community, help the youth. But again, you don't associate with people of an unsavory character. But why was he there? Locke, a licensed gun owner, was holding a handgun when he was shot. The body cam footage shows it was pointing towards the ground and not at any officers. There's some dispute about that. Go back and look at the footage. It looks like he may have been pointing his gun at the officers, so that's when they shot at him. Minneapolis was not the only scene of an Amir Locke protest, with what is believed to be the first protest at Locke's death reported in Chicago. Going back to Twitter, an uptown protesting the murder of another black man by the Minneapolis police. First demonstration over Amir Locke's murder in Chicago that I'm aware of, but likely not the last. Hashtag Amir Locke, hashtag Chicago. And they've got 4 frames here of these protesters holding signs. One says Amir, the other says Black Lives Matter with the African colors on it, green, white, and red. So this is a story at bringmethenews.com, a story that is slowly, as I said, gaining steam. You'll probably hear about in the next couple of days. The Amir Locke shooting, titled the article again, "A Group of Protesters Call for Justice for Amir Locke, Leave Graffiti on Lake Street" by Adam Irwin, came out February 12th. And we should have this discussion about no-knock warrants, which brings me to the Cornell Law School website, where they talk about what exactly a no-knock warrant is. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. Good stuff, man. Really good stuff. And you got to get that Saturday 7 a.m. coffee. It's some of the best coffee I've had. Better than Starbucks, dare I say. So a no-knock warrant is a search warrant authorizing police officers to enter certain premises without first knocking and announcing their presence or purpose prior to entering the premises. Such warrants are issued where an entry pursuant to the knock and announce rule, i.e. an announcement prior to entry, would lead to the destruction of the objects for which the police are searching or would compromise the safety of the police or another individual. Now, I do apologize. This next part's going to get a little wordy, a little legal mumbo-jumbo. According to the Department of Justice, although officers need not take affirmative steps to make an independent re-verification of the circumstances already recognized by a magistrate in issuing a no-knock warrant, such a warrant does not entitle officers to disregard reliable information, clearly negating the existence of exigent circumstances when they actually receive such information before execution of the warrant. In other words, they need to have probable cause, and it's got to be legitimate. So you don't have officers that are just randomly going out there and knocking on doors or busting open doors to arrest people. They had a warrant, probable cause in this case. They believe that this individual may have been staying at this apartment for a short amount of time. And it's really sad to see that Amir Locke got caught in the middle of this. Was that the same with Breonna Taylor? But you can't connect this case with George Floyd. And you can't be irresponsible as a commentator in MSNBC. They should change their network name, their call letters. You cannot just come on the air and say African Americans who own a gun in this country, exercise their Second Amendment right, aren't getting a fair shake. You have to look at all the evidence, all the data, before you reach that conclusion. If you like the video, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes, leave comments below. Now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe everybody, God bless this great country, and I'll catch you next time.